if you are doing a long, cold swim, you're only helping yourself if you can pick up some weight in a healthy way. Because, again, the challenge is not the distance, the challenge is the cold. And I think that's where I was going earlier, where I started the stories. So a lot of people do it in wetsuits, and a lot of people ask me, but why don't you just wear a wetsuit? And the answer is, the challenge is the cold. That's like doing the Cape Town cycle tour on an e-bike, essentially. Because anyone can do that distance. It's hard, it's long, you've got to train for it. But not anyone can do that distance with the impact of the cold on their body and on their mind. Okay, the cold messes with your mind. Us humans have not evolved well to handle cold, we've evolved very well to avoid it. So when we throw ourselves into the cold water, besides what's happening in our body, the mind is implementing pain, panic, and fear, and all these wonderful things that come together to make you, essentially to get you out, to take this unbelievably powerful tool of ours that is designed to keep us safe. And it knows that being in cold water is not a good place for you to be for long term. So all it's doing is trying very hard, very overzealously to get you out. And to try and perform through that, to try and understand that, to try and push yourself past that point of, I must get it out now, I'm too cold. It's very hard.
Comfort zones, what do they mean to you? And why do you think people struggle so much with getting out of their comfort zones?
Brilliant question. And for the listeners who have heard the comfort zone story a million times before, it is probably one of the most important conversations. And I preach this around the world. And often when I start talking about comfort zones, you see, a few sighs in the audience because of, we've all heard the inspirational speaker talking about comfort zones. But when you really start to unpack a comfort zone and what it is, every single person has heard you must get out your comfort zone, and probably every single person you'll ask will say, yes, I've been out of my comfort zone, or I don't operate within a comfort zone. And I can guarantee you 99% of those who say that are very much in their comfort zones. Okay. And what I learned very early in my journey to some of this planet's most crazy places is that if you don't get outside your comfort zone, you cannot learn new stuff. And when you stop learning new stuff, grow. When you stop growing, you will get overtaken by those who are. It is as simple as that. Okay? And to get outside your comfort zone is one of the most difficult things. I also do coaching, and I sit with people quite often one-on-one, and often these are CEOs and real achievers, not always, but quite often. And I always say, right, for this quarter or this year, have you set yourself a proper goal? What's your goal? Always set this big ass goal. You say, okay, well, that's great to hear. And tell me what your goal is, and they'll tell me. And I said, and do you know how on earth you're going to achieve that? Oh, yeah, I know exactly how to achieve it. So I'm like, okay, tell me. And then they'll go, well, I'll do this, then I'll do that, then I'll do this, then I'll do this. And eventually I will reach that goal. And I'll say, so you've got a beautiful roadmap on exactly how to reach that goal. You know what to do. Yeah, I know what to do. I said, well, then you're in your comfort zone. That is the very definition. Your goal might look scary to everybody else, but you know how you're going to achieve it. You're not getting outside your comfort zone. Getting outside your comfort zone is when you set a goal that you don't think you can achieve. And you don't, sitting here today, know how you're going to get it. Because you're going to have to be creative. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to risk failure to achieve what you don't think you can achieve. The word you used is grow as an individual. So for the first part of my life, certainly plenty growth in many areas, but I sold myself short, and I can guarantee you that 95% of everyone listening and the population of the world sell themselves short. They don't know what they can really achieve, because you've got this unbelievably powerful mind. Now, I didn't really understand this. You all know it because you read it in books and you hear inspirational speakers, but when you actually identified, or it's made apparent to you in the real world, and it happened to me through my swimming adventures in some really scary places, where you realize how powerful the human mind is. It's as I say in my keynotes, the human mind is the gateway to absolute greatness. It really is. It's an incredible thing. And no one pushes back when I say that, but I get a bit of pushback when I say that this human mind, the gateway to absolute greatness that we all have, is actually our biggest limitation. It has evolved to keep you safe. It works exceptionally hard and exceptionally powerfully, subconsciously, to keep you in your lane, to keep you inside your comfort zone, because that's where you will deliver performance. You'll get by. Everyone will be happy with you. You'll be happy with yourself. You'll have a roof over your head and food on the table, kids at school. It's getting on the other side of that line is where the real growth will happen. Again, it's that word growth. You know, you've only got one life.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you happy where you are doing what you are? Maybe you are. A lot of people are. As I said, so let me give you the definition that I came up with of a comfort zone many years ago. So comfort zone is the behavioral state in which a person operates in an anxiety-neutral condition using a limited set of behaviors to deliver a steady level of performance without the element of risk. Now, we're all very happy delivering steady performance, getting by, hitting our number, keeping our bosses happy, keeping ourselves happy, giving nice steady performance without the element of risk, so there's not too much stress. That's quite a healthy place to be, but there's no growth there. There's no growth. If you're doing the same thing to get by and you're not pushing yourself, you're not going to grow as an individual. And once you understand how cool it is to grow as an individual, even if it's just bite-sized chunks like it has been for me, you know, slowly. It's not like wake up one day and have an epiphany. It's just like, hang on, what happened there? I've been doubting myself in that area. Let's try this. And wow, you know, I didn't think I could do that either. Look at me. And then you start getting, you know, attention from other areas and patting you on the back, and you kind of look around and you go, well, huh? Okay, people are noticing. Maybe I've done something cool, and that drives me as well to try something even more cool. Well, certainly in swimming terms, if you've got a big goal of getting across a body of open water, your discipline is absolutely vital in your training to get up to that point. But not everyone listening wants to become a distance swimmer, so you can just extrapolate that over. Any important goal to you requires discipline. If you lack that discipline, the chances of hitting that goal are greatly reduced. It is absolutely as simple as that. And what I also talk a lot about is the element of discipline. It's so easy to say, be disciplined. Yes, I'm disciplined. But to actually execute it is exceptionally difficult and tiring and hard. And we are all human. We all have a lot of other stuff going on. So how do you keep that discipline towards that particular goal when there might only be one reason to do it and 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't do that training session at that time, at that moment, and skip a day because you'll be fine the next day. And that's where the snowball starts. And staying inside your comfort zone, as I've said before, you can't find that growth. Comfort zone is where a lot of us want to operate. You don't always want to be outside your comfort zone. You will deliver steady performance in that comfort zone with low risk. You will get by. You might be happy your entire life. You'll have a roof over your head. You'll have everything that you possibly want, except you will never know what lay on the other side of that line. Okay, and when I say the other side of that line, what I'm alluding to is setting goals above what you think you can achieve. Well, failure is obviously a concept rooted inside you. What you see as failure is first and foremost what's most important. Obviously, there's what society and what your friends and family and whatever else also think is failure will also factor. But where I see failure, and I don't like failing, and I've got plenty failures, under my belt to have learnt the lessons, and I do a whole keynote on failure, and it's all about you've heard the narrative a million times that to succeed you must fail. Failure is part of the process, and all those lovely things, and it is. I buy into that. However, there are two kinds of failure. If you are failing and you are not then being introspective about it, acknowledging where you played a role in that failure, admitting to your shortcomings, really unpacking it, introducing that vulnerability into yourself, that becomes what I call the bad failure, the failure that is not going to help you at all. It's just going to repeat itself, and there's no growth attached to that failure. The easy thing for me to say is set the goal and get out there and do it, but it's very difficult to do. I appreciate that. Obviously, that's the starting point. You've got to do it. But one of the pieces of advice I give is
if you're a busy person, you've got a lot going on in your life and you're questioning, do I have enough time to apply to that? Because the discipline requires time usually, if it's a sporting achievement that you're chasing anyway. Map it out. I took a spreadsheet once and I literally mapped out every single hour of the day, because I did this with help, and then I plotted exactly how much time I want to spend with my friends, how much time I want to spend with my partner, how much time I want to spend with my son, how much time I want to sleep, how much time I need to spend in my office, how much time I need to spend doing X, Y, and Z. Once you've got that all, you then chart it out, and obviously reaching goals is another one. You chart it out and you get this beautiful visual picture of whether you have enough time or not.